Hey guys, so today's vlog is a exciting one because it is a readathon vlog. I haven't done one of these in a really long time. In fact, I think the last one I did was for the owls back in April last year. Oh my god, that was so long ago. So it's been almost a year since I've done a readathon vlog, and I thought I had to do one for this readathon war games because I am a co-host and I'm so excited for it. So I think this vlog's going to go over the entire month. The readathon does run all of March, but you can complete the prompts in a week, in 2 weeks, or the whole month. I'm sort of hoping that I finish all the prompts within 3 weeks, but I'm not going to push myself because I'm planning on like pacing the books that I read for this readathon out throughout the entire month, because I'm also going to be working on other vlogs and videos. So that's my plan. I've also decided not to do a March TBR. I went back and forth on this so many times. I really wanted to do a March TBR, but I'm so behind in my videos at the moment editing. I have a lot of pre-filmed videos to edit, so I'm just going to focus on doing them rather than filming a March TBR, and I'm just gonna let myself mood read. So there are a few books though that I really want to get to. The first one is Realm of Ash. I read the first book in this series, companion series, duology. I'm not too sure what it is, but the first book is Empire of Sand, and I read that in my fantasy romance reading vlog that I did for Valentine's Day, and I loved it. It was my first 5-star of the year, and I've been wanting to pick this up since I finished that. I actually bought this book when I was like almost finished Empire of Sand, and I just haven't had a chance to get around to it. So I'm going to use this for the prompt read a book with a royal main character, because I believe that the love interest in here is a prince. Oh, and I'm doing the Lost Thief path. Lost Thief. The Lost Heir path. Am I co-hosting this readathon? Did I come up with all those prompts? Yes, I did. But yeah, anyway, so I'm doing the Lost Heir path. I probably won't pick this up until next week. My main focus read for the vlog this week is going to be Gideon the Ninth. I'm going to be using this for read a book that features political intrigue. I need to read this because I have a live show for this book on Sunday. So it's Monday here at the moment. So I have to finish this by Sunday. Now, the last book that I've plan to read is The Mad Ship. I'm going to be using this for the prompt read a book that has the first letter of your last name in the title. My last name starts with M, so The Mad Ship, which is perfect. I've started this. I'm actually almost 300 pages in this already. I recently did a 5-star prediction reading vlog where I like reacted to my old 5-star predictions and then read a whole bunch of my 5-star predictions. And book 1 in this trilogy, Ship of Magic, was in that vlog and it was 5 stars. I was absolutely obsessed. I'm obsessed with Robin Hobb. My goal is this year to read all her works. So Robin Hobb and N.K. Jemisin are the 2 authors I want to complete like all their works this year. This is not a priority read this week. Gideon's going to be my priority read, but honestly, the way I'm loving this so much right now, I might end up finishing this week anyway. We shall see. So yeah, just these 3 for now, and obviously there's a few more prompts I'm gonna have to fill out, but I'm just going to mood read those ones. So once I finish these, I'll just decide what book I'm in the mood for and what book fits what prompt. I think that's gonna also just work really well and make me successful for this readathon. And I'm so excited. I will update you. I'll update you now because like I said, I'm 300 pages in this. I can say stuff about this. So the first book, Ship of Magic, follows this family called the Vesteret family, and they own this live ship. Live ships in this world are ships that have souls, and I loved book 1 so much because the live ships themselves were characters. This family is in difficult times because they are kind of on the brink of being in a really serious debt. So they're trying to get out of debt. Each family member has sort of different ideas and ways of how they want to get out. There's a lot of disagreement about it. That's sort of like it. It's not a super plot heavy story. It's very, very character focused, which I love. There's so much interesting magic and conflict in this world, and I'm just obsessed. This book so far, I'm really liking it. However, there has been one new POV that's been introduced, which is Sorella. She wasn't a POV we followed in book 1. In book 1, we pretty much followed everyone from the Vesteret family, and then we also follow a pirate. But in here, we have all those POVs, and we also have Sorella's POV, who's just been introduced on the 2nd chapter that we've had of Sorella's POV. And I'm not really a fan of her yet, but hopefully after a bit of warming up, I will really like her chapters, because when I read everyone else's chapters, I don't want to put the book down. Also, there are pirates. Like, I just gotta like keep saying that. There's a pirate. I love pirates, and I need to read more pirate books or find more pirate books because they're so good. They're so good and so interesting. So I'm really enjoying this so far, and hopefully that continues. Okay, so I've been filming quite a few vlogs back to back, so I can't remember if this is our first update or our second. It's either one. It is Saturday the 6th or the 7th of March. Anyway, I have been making really great progress on the Mad ship this week. I've only got that much left. I'm up to chapter 28, page 628. I love this. I just love the characters in the world. Like, I literally picked this book up and I'm like, I'm only going to read a chapter, and I've read like 100 pages. That's how good and invested in this story I am. Something I'm really loving about this book in comparison to the Farseer trilogy is we definitely have more female characters. Farseer was definitely very male dominated story. There's some really interesting and weird relationships in here that I don't know how to feel about. Like, the relationships surrounding Kenneth, if you've read this book, you'll know what I mean. Also, like, the love triangle between, like, Althea, what's his name? I always want to call him Gary, but it's not Gary. It's like Gag. We'll call him Gary. Gary sounds better. And Brashen, like, I don't know how to feel about that. Like, individually, I like all those characters, but I don't think I like any of them together. In the first book, I definitely did like Althea and Brashen together, but now I don't know how I feel. And following on from the first book, like, our main focus is his family in financial times of struggle, trying to manage, and things have just gotten worse from the first book, not better. So they're trying to really dig themselves out of the hole that they're in, because it's pretty deep. I feel like that's all I can really say, because this is the second book in a series. I've done a really good job this week of reading this, but I've meant to read a lot more of Gideon than I have. So I'm currently like 140 something pages into Gideon, and I have the live show for this tomorrow morning. So I have to finish this today pretty much. I'm really liking this. I started this on a live show I did the other day with Aaron, who created this readathon. And I only read about 50 pages then, and I've read about 100 since then. So I've really been slacking in this book. I am enjoying it. The writing is amazing. I really like the writing. It's quite flowery, but like, it's also vulgar, but I have absolutely no idea what's going on in this story. All I know is we're like following Gideon, this character, and she's been raised in this 9th house, and there's like all these different houses of necromancers, so they go up to 9. She's like the Cavalier, which is like a warrior in sense, but she doesn't want to live here. She's trying to escape. That's all I can kind of grasp, but everything else, I'm confusion. It's not that I'm not loving this book or not disliking it. I'm very intrigued and I like the writing, and even though I don't really know what's going on, I'm intrigued because the writing is so interesting and the characters and the setup is all very interesting. My problem is I'm so obsessed with this at the moment that I tell myself I'm really going to read like a chapter of this, or 30 pages of this, and then I'll read 100 or 50 to 100 pages of this. But I just end up like reading a lot of this and none of this. So I have to settle down today and finish this. Like, I have to finish this. Okay, I completed my first book for the readathon, The Mad Ship. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. I definitely liked it a little bit less than the first book. I think the main reason I didn't love this as much as I loved book 1 was I did not like or see the point of the new POV that was introduced. I was hoping to warm up to the new POV by the end of the story, and I just did not. And every time I got to Cirilla's chapters, that's the new character who's introduced and the new POV we get, I actually found myself putting down the book. So it did definitely hinder my enjoyment. What I didn't like about her story is she is really used to show the power and villainize another character, and this is done through rape. So there is on-page and off-page rape, so huge trigger warnings for that. There was literally no other point to her character except to characterize, or to help characterize, this male character who has a lot of power, who's coming into the story and does impact the situation with our other main characters that we've been with from the start of the story. What I did like about this, we got some really interesting character development. I really like the side we saw to Malta in this. Malta is this like 15-year-old girl, And in book one, she was very, very bratty, very spoiled. Like, she thinks she's older than she is. Like, she thinks she's a young woman, and she thinks that makes her entitled to certain things young women have and can do, but she's still a child. And in here, I thought her character development was really quite interesting. We did see her grow up quite a bit, and I loved learning more about the history of the ships. That was very interesting. There's still more to learn, I think. So I'm excited to see how that all wraps up in the final book. But yeah, I really enjoyed this overall. I can't say much more because it is a sequel. So the prompt to read a book that has the first letter of your last name in the title is completed. So one checked off. The next book I decided to pick up was Realm of Ash. I actually have almost finished this. I'm like 200, almost 300 pages in, 280 I think. Oh, I'm 290 pages in, so I'm almost at page 300, and this book is like 400 and something pages long. So I'm gonna actually finish this today. I am obsessed with this. I am obsessed with Tasha Suri right now. I adored Empire of Sand. If you watch my fantasy romance reading vlog, you might have seen me read the first book in this duology, and it was my first 5-star read of the year. So I had really high hopes going into this one, and I have not been disappointed. I love this so much. So even though this is book 2 in a duology, it is a companion series. So this follows the younger sister of the main character in book 1. What I love about this book in particular is we first met Awa when she was like 9 years old, and this book takes place 11 years after the events of Empire of Sand. And when we just meet her, she's just become a widow. So she's 21 and she's lost her husband. And in the first chapter, she is taken to this like heritage of women. So it's like this temple that all the widows sort of live. Like, they just go there to live out their lives because they are no longer of any value to their household, to their families. Like, their entire value lied in serving their husbands, and once their husbands are dead, they're not useful. I loved from the beginning that we got this look into the widows and to these women in this time period and how they had to live their lives after their husband died. I feel like I've very rarely read about widows in fantasy. So often we are looking at the lead up to a marriage and, you know, these young girls and women being sold off as pawns for their households in order for their households and family to benefit. We so rarely get to see when that doesn't go to plan, or, you know, it fails quite quickly. Our character very quickly after arriving at the Heritage of Widows actually leaves there, and she goes to the Emperor's palace, is then kind of thrust into the court and sort of used. It is fairly slow pace. I love my slow paced books, but I did find this book to be slightly faster in pace compared to Empire of Sand. Yeah, I am gonna go finish this now. So I did complete Realm of Ash. I unfortunately am giving this book 4 stars rather than 5. I shouldn't say unfortunately. That makes it sound a lot worse than it is. But I was disappointed by the end of this. I really liked the first 300 pages or so. This book is much faster in pace than the first book, and you're really thrown into the story more than you were in the first book, which I really liked because I was so ready to be back in this world. But my friend Tammy picked this book up around the same time as me, and she did not like the start of this book. She found the pacing quite off-putting. I think where this book disappointed me most is, like I said, the ending was so rushed. The beginning is very fast paced, and then the middle is quite slow paced. The middle bit was my favorite. The middle section is full of court politics and intrigue. There's also a lot of learning about the magic in the middle section. The magic in this book is sort of about dream worlds. The main characters in this are exploring dream worlds, and I really liked that concept. I obviously can't say what the end's about, but then something happens, and well, not just something, quite a few things happen, and there's quite a few things that need to be resolved. And because there was only so much page time left, there was so much that had to be wrapped up quite quickly. So that was kind of disappointing. The other thing I will say is these books are fantasy romance, and I loved the romance in the first book. I loved how it played out. I loved everything about it. But when it came to this book, the romance was even more slow burn than the first book, and the first book is pretty slow burn, and I loved it. I thought it was done perfectly. This one was done too slow burn in my opinion, because we hardly actually got to see the characters together, and I really would have liked to have seen them together. that was what I was definitely most invested in. So even though I definitely enjoyed this, I gave it 4 stars, so I definitely enjoyed it. I was definitely disappointed by it in the end. So yeah, that's my second book for this readathon completed. I think I said I was originally going to read this book for the prompt, a book with a royal main character, because I thought the love interest in this was a prince, but he's actually a bastard, so he's not technically a prince. So I'm just going to use this book for the prompt, read a sequel, because this is technically a sequel, so it counts. So instead, for the prompt, read a book with a royal main character, I decided to start A Song of Wraith and Ruins. I'm currently sitting at about 200 pages, so I've actually made a pretty decent chunk through this, though I do have to get cracking because we have like a week left of this readathon, and I was planning to get this vlog done like by now pretty much, and I haven't, so I really need to get cracking. This book so far, I don't know how I feel about. I'm not hating it or anything, but I'm not loving it as much as I thought I would. It's sitting on about a 3 stars. It has 2 character POVs with Elaine Malik, who is sort of on a quest to save his sister, and in order to save his sister, he does have to assassinate a princess, and the princess is the other POV that we follow. Where I'm at, the 2 characters haven't even met. There is supposed to be a romance between the 2, so it's going to be like enemy to lovers. I really like Malik's POV, but I'm not really enjoying the princess's Karina POV. Even with Malik's POV, I'm preferring the side characters in his POV more as well. Like, he has 2 sisters, and his main sister is a larger part of the story than the younger sister is, but I really like their dynamic together. And with Karina, I'm not super interested in a lot of the dynamics going on either, so it's not just Karina, it's just her whole POV making me not super interested in her side of things. Okay, I'm gonna go read more. I really hope I get more into this. I've been meaning to pick this book up for ages. I ordered the special Fairy Loot edition. I've never ordered like a special edition of a book before. This was the first one. I really want to like it, you know? Update, I haven't really read any more of A Song of Wraith and Ruins. I'm still like 200 pages in, but I was really craving more Robin Hobb, so I decided to pick up Chip of Destiny, which is the final book in the Life Ship Trader trilogy, and I've finished this already. It's like 900 pages. I had the COVID vaccination early in the week, and I got so sick from that, so I ended up just lying in bed and reading this and finishing the whole thing. I loved this. The way Robin Hobb wraps up her trilogies, I mean, this is only the 2nd trilogy of hers I've completed, is so satisfying. And the way character arcs end, and things that were foreshadowed really early on that you just don't pick up on, and how that all comes to light in here was just so brilliant. I loved it so much. I am so obsessed with her and her worlds, and her just storytelling in general is just, she's the master. It's amazing. So this book I'm going to use for the prompt to read a book with political intrigue, because this definitely has like politics. I know I said I was originally going to use Gideon for that, and I did read Gideon. I don't think I updated you guys, but I did read Gideon. I had a live show for it. But that book, that book's like hard to talk about, especially if you're not going to talk about it including any spoilers. But what happened with that book was I actually read it. I rushed the last third of it for the live show I had, and then I actually started rereading it like right before the live show started, and I'm going to continue my reread of it and just sort of take it slow. I mean, it's probably like a 4 stars, but I didn't want to give it a rating, so I decided just not to use it for this readathon, and I'm going to replace it with this. So that's that prompt ticked off. I decided to give this 4 stars. I loved this, like I said. I think it was just such a brilliant conclusion. But like with the Mad Ship, I mentioned how that there was rape in the Mad Ship. In this book, there was more sexual assault. Like, there was a lot of sexual assault and attempts of sexual assault at the beginning. And then there was also another rape scene in here. And this rape scene was very graphic. So, huge trigger warning for rape for this series and just sexual assault in general. I still really loved this book, and I still like recommend the trilogy as a whole, but yeah, huge heads up for the content. And the thing is with the rape scene was there was so much sexual assault or attempted sexual assault before the rape scene, so I was already kind of like, oh, you know, stop that. And then that happened, and so by then I was really over it, because I'm like on this Robin Hobb binge at the moment. I am going to pick up the first book in her next trilogy, which is Fool's Errand. This book takes place, I believe, about 16 years after Assassin's Quest. I'm going to use this book for the prompt, read a book with a royal item on the cover. I know on my edition that there's no royal item, but I did find another edition that has a crown on the cover. So we're going to pretend that's the cover I'm reading. I know I'm kind of cheating here, but you know what? This is War Games. You gotta play a little dirty in order to win. And by win, I mean like reading the books you want so you get those 5 stars. You know what I mean? I am also going to partially listen to this on audio, I think, just so I can finish it in time, because there's only so many days of the month left and I'm working on other vlogs that I need to get out and I have to read other books with them. So I need to like maximize reading time, you know? So excited to get into this and see these characters that I haven't seen for a while and to see them 16 years later. Oh, I'm scared, but I'm excited. So I'm not going to be able to say much or pretty much anything about this book. I know some people do tell you like who this follows and a little bit more about what it's about, but I'm going to keep it very, very spoiler free. I'm like extra cautious when it comes to spoilers. Like I am overly cautious because I don't like to know anything. So I'm going to physically read this and audiobook it. And then I also need to finish A Song of Wraith and Ruins, which I think I'm going to try and read a good chunk of this before bed tonight. I'm still enjoying this. I just really was craving Robin Hobb when I was sick, and so I just was like, you know what, you're sick, read it. And I did, and I'm really glad I did. Hopefully next update I come to you with this one finished and me a decent chunk of the way through this, because that has to happen, because otherwise I'm not going to be successful for this readathon and I won't finish all the books I need to finish. And oh my god, I need to, because like I'm co-hosting and the extra pressure with that is like just something I put on myself, but it's there. Okay, so I've gotten like halfway through this already. Oh my god, the way this vlog has just turned into a Robin Hobb vlog. I hope you're not mad, but I'm really enjoying this. I love being back in this world with these characters and to see them like 16 years later. My heart. Something I will say is I think so far this is actually my least favorite in the entire series, like just as a whole. There was like a lot of recapping at the beginning of this book of what had happened in the original trilogy, so that took a bit of time, and the plot didn't really start until like just about page 200. And so what's on the blurb of this book actually doesn't happen until like page 200, which is always annoying when books and marketing just do that. You know, just don't tell me anything past page 100, please. So having said that, this book is, I think, the weakest in the series as a whole so far, I'm still loving this. I think at this point this series is such a comforting read for me, and I'm reading these so quickly. I love these characters, I love these worlds, I just love Robin Hobb's writing and just storytelling. It's just their comfort read, so it's still going to get like a high rating for me, even though I think objectively it's not the best so far. Hopefully it gets better. Probably when you see me next I would have finished this book because I'm just flying through this so fast. Look, if I go like this, you can see Bronte. We got a new cat. I don't think I mentioned that, but that's Bronte, our new third child. She's apparently almost 7. We thought she was 5 when we adopted her, but then we found out when we looked at the paperwork that she's actually almost 7 years old. Anyway, I finished this. I loved this. I mean, it's no surprise. I love this. Like I said, this story at this point is literally just a comfort read for me. I can see myself just going back and rereading these over and over again. That's the feeling I kind of get. I definitely think that the first half of this book was really, really slow. Like objectively, the first half was like a 3-star read for me. And even that was a little bit generous just because of my feelings towards it. But I even knew when it was feeling 3 stars that I was going to give it like at least a 4, just because of how much I love these characters and the world and the writing itself. I don't usually do that, but like sometimes, very rarely, and this is one of those rare occasions where feelings really come into play. And I say that the first half was really a 3 stars because there was a lot of recapping of what had happened in the original trilogy, and the story also caught us up on what we'd missed in between the last book of the trilogy and this book. So in between the 16 years, so for the 16 years we haven't been with these characters, we were caught caught up with what they'd been up to and what their lives were like. And then the plot for this particular book didn't really start until halfway through the book. Rob and Hobb often does animal companions, and here we got to see quite a few cats as animal companions, which I really liked. I also really enjoyed the little Easter eggs to the Life Ship Trader trilogy. So in the end, my final rating was 4 stars. I'm hoping that each book in the trilogy will improve. So I really didn't mean to turn this video into a Rob and Hobb readathon vlog, but that's what it's turned into. I hope you guys don't mind. Now I've just got to go finish A Song of Wraith and Ruins. I only have a couple of days left to do so because then the month is over, meaning the readathon is over. I should be able to do it though. So it is now April. March, as well as the readathon, has now come and truly ended. I was unsuccessful in completing A Song of Wraith and Ruins in March, but I did finish it at the end of April. So I thought in this final clip where I'm going to wrap up this vlog, I'll tell you my final thoughts on this, even though I don't get to use it as a readathon prompt. I still did well, like I still completed 4 out of the 5 prompts. So, you know, I'm not mad about it. I definitely think when I first picked this book up, I was really in the mood for this. It's like a really fun YA fantasy that is heavily inspired by West African folklore. I liked the beginning, but then I think what happened with the story is, you know, I can't exactly remember, but I feel like it's about 150 pages of this book, you know, if you have read the blurb. And I talk about this quite a bit, but I am a reader who loves reading a story I don't know. Like, I love the discovery of that. I also love being shocked and surprised, but it's more the discovery of the story. And that, for me as a reader, is something that really drives a story, and that is what makes me like fly through a story. And having the start being really good, but also knowing those first 150 pages because of the blurb, I struggled to kind of get into the story. I think also the dual POV wasn't my favorite in the beginning because I was definitely favoring Malik's POV over Karina's. I was not a fan of Karina in the beginning. I definitely warmed up to her though. I really liked her character growth. I liked how we got to see what she was struggling with and her backstory, and I really liked how she dealt with her struggles and how that showed her strength and her character. And yeah, by the end of the story I did really warm up to her and really like her. But definitely the first half of this book wasn't my favorite, and was probably sitting at like a 2.53 stars to be honest. The second half, it did pick up, but those last few chapters were incredible, and it makes me so hyped for the next book. So they definitely picked up the story as a whole, and there were things throughout this that I really liked. I really liked the magic. The magic deals a lot with like spirits. I also really liked, like with Malik, I just really loved Malik's character. I loved from the beginning just seeing his relationship with his sisters, and he's got, you know, he's like a soft boy who was so, I loved following him. But I also really loved how he sort of had like a bit of anxiety. I also kind of loved how Karina was sort of the opposite to him. She was very headstrong, just not a cinnamon roll like Malik was. How I would describe the basic like premise of the story, and all I think you need to know going this, is we have 2 characters who are set up to kill each other, but they don't know that they're individually each secretly plotting to kill one another. And then of course it's like enemies to lovers, so they like fall in love and all of that. That's all I want to say when describing this book, because I think all those other details and how these 2 characters get in this situation, I think you should discover on your own. I think that would make the story more fun. I think my final rating is going to be a 3.5. So now with this done, I can complete this vlog. Apologies that it kind of turned into a Rob and Hobb reading vlog. I can't believe I read like 3 Rob and Hobb books in this video. But if you participated in the War Games readathon, let me know. Also, if you made a vlog or anything for the readathon, link it down below. I would love to watch and see how you went. Otherwise, that is it from me today. I hope that you're enjoying whatever you're currently reading, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!